I woke up to the soft light filtering through the curtains, the world outside still wrapped in the cozy embrace of morning. Birds chirped cheerfully, and I could smell the faint aroma of coffee wafting from the kitchen. It was supposed to be an ordinary day, but little did I know that everything was about to change. As I stretched and rubbed the sleep from my eyes, I felt an unsettling tug in my chest, a whisper of something wrong. "Hey, Eliana, breakfast is ready," Nathaniel's voice called from downstairs, warm and inviting. My heart fluttered at the sound. I climbed out of bed, my mind still clouded with the remnants of sleep. But that calm morning would soon shatter around me. I found Nathaniel at the table, his back turned to me as he poured coffee. The sight of him, so familiar and yet so distant, sent a wave of confusion crashing over me. Could he sense the storm brewing inside me? I had no idea what was about to happen, but an uneasy feeling gnawed at me. "Good morning, love," I said, trying to match his cheerful tone. He turned to me with a smile that seemed to brighten the room, but I could not shake that feeling. Something was off. As we sat down to eat, I noticed his phone buzzing on the table. My heart raced as I glanced at the screen. A message popped up, and in that moment, my world tilted. The name that flashed before my eyes was Alara. My breath caught in my throat, and I felt as if the ground beneath me had crumbled away. What could she possibly want with him? "Nathaniel, who is Alara?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. He looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Just a colleague from work, nothing to worry about." His casual dismissal cut through me like a knife. I wanted to believe him, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Later that day, I replayed the morning's events in my mind. The way he avoided my gaze, the flicker of his expression when I mentioned Alara. Was it guilt? I could not shake the feeling that something terrible was brewing beneath the surface. By evening, I could no longer ignore the quiet whispers in my mind. I had to know the truth. I picked up my phone, my hands shaking with fear and anticipation. I scrolled through our messages, desperately looking for clues. My heart raced as I found a string of texts between Nathaniel and Alara. Each word felt like a dagger, twisting deeper with every line I read. "I miss you," one text read. "I can't wait to see you again," another followed. The betrayal hit me like a tsunami, overwhelming and all-consuming. I felt my heart shatter as memories of our time together flooded my mind. His laughter, our shared dreams, the love we built. Now, they all felt tainted, like a beautiful painting marred by a cruel stroke of darkness. "No, it can't be true," I whispered to myself, tears streaming down my cheeks. How could he do this to me? How could he betray everything we had? In that moment of despair, something within me ignited. I would not be a passive victim in this story. I would not let Nathaniel's betrayal define me. I took a deep breath, wiping my tears away, and resolved that I would take control of my destiny. As night fell, I sat at my desk, my journal open before me. I began to write, pouring out my heart and soul onto the pages. I will not let this destroy me. I will rise from the ashes of this betrayal. I will make him feel the weight of his choices. With every word, I felt my pain transform into a fierce resolve. I would channel my heartbreak into a plan for calculated revenge. The darkness within me began to take shape, and I welcomed it. As I closed my journal, an unsettling calm washed over me. I was no longer just Eliana, the betrayed wife. I was Eliana, the woman who would reclaim her power. As I stepped into the familiar rhythm of my daily life, a strange calm settled over me. The world outside my window continued to spin, oblivious to my heartache. I poured a cup of coffee, the rich aroma filling the kitchen. I glanced at the clock. Nathaniel would be down any minute. I took a deep breath and prepared myself to wear the mask of the devoted wife, a role I would play to perfection. "Good morning, love," Nathaniel greeted me as he walked into the kitchen, his smile bright and genuine. "Good morning," I replied, forcing a smile that did not quite reach my eyes. I set the table for breakfast, my hands steady, even as my heart raced with the weight of my secret. I had a plan, and I had to keep him close to execute it. Over pancakes and coffee, we talked about our usual topics: work, weekend plans, and the weather. I watched him closely, noting every little detail, the way his eyes sparkled when he mentioned a project at work, the slight crease of worry on his brow when he thought about deadlines. But beneath the surface of our conversation, I was calculating my next move. "Have you spoken to Alara lately?" I asked casually, watching for any flicker of surprise on his face. He paused, his fork midway to his mouth. No, not really. Why do you ask?" "Oh, just curious. She seemed to be around a lot last month," I said, keeping my tone light. "You know how she is, always busy with something." "Yeah, she's been focusing on that new project," he replied, a hint of defensiveness creeping into his voice. I could sense the tension, but I had to keep my act up. I needed him to feel safe with me, to think nothing had changed. As days turned into weeks, I continued to play my part. Dinner dates, grocery shopping, and movie nights filled our schedule. Each smile I wore felt heavier, but I buried my doubts deep inside. I was gathering information, collecting details about Nathaniel's interactions with Alara, and every moment spent with him brought me closer to the truth I needed to uncover. One evening, we went out for dinner, and as we walked hand in hand, I felt the familiar pang of jealousy. I imagined Nathaniel with Alara, laughing and sharing secrets. The thought twisted my stomach, but I reminded myself of my goal. I had to keep my emotions in check. "Isn't this place amazing?" Nathaniel said, looking around the restaurant. "It really is," I agreed, forcing a smile. "I love the ambiance." We settled at a cozy table, and as we talked, my mind drifted to Alara. What was she to him? I had to know more. After dinner, as we drove home, my phone buzzed with a new message. I glanced at the screen, my heart racing. It was from Alara. "Hey, just wanted to check in. Let's catch up soon." I felt a surge of anger. How dare she reach out? I quickly typed a reply. "Sure, let's meet." As I hit send, Nathaniel turned to me. "Who was that?" "Oh, just a friend," I said, my voice steady. "Nothing to worry about." He nodded, but I could see the flicker of curiosity in his eyes. I needed to be careful. The last thing I wanted was for him to suspect anything. I had to maintain this facade, to keep him believing in our normal life while I plotted my revenge. Later that night, as I lay in bed, I felt the weight of my deception settle heavily on my chest. What if this plan backfired? What if Nathaniel found out what I was really up to? I pushed those thoughts aside. I had come too far to turn back now. I closed my eyes, envisioning Alara's face as I would confront her. The anger bubbled within me, fueling my resolve. I had to dismantle the life they had built together, brick by brick, and I would do it with precision and cunning. As I drifted off to sleep, I knew one thing for certain. I was ready to play the game, and I would not lose. I took a deep breath, the smell of fresh coffee lingering in the air as I entered the small cafe. It was supposed to be my safe space, a quiet corner where I could enjoy my thoughts. But today, it felt different. Today, I was about to confront the woman who had shattered my world. Alara. As I scanned the room, my heart raced when I spotted her sitting at a table by the window, a smile dancing on her lips as she flicked through her phone. Nathaniel's phone, the very device that had betrayed me. I felt a surge of anger mixed with dread. I had to do this. I approached her table, my footsteps steady, but my mind a whirlwind. Alara looked up, her expression shifting from surprise to amusement. "Well, if it isn't the devoted wife," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "What brings you here?" "I think we need to talk," I replied, my tone firm, despite the storm of emotions inside me. I pulled out a chair and sat down, locking eyes with her. "Oh? About what?" she asked, feigning innocence. "Isn't everything just perfect in your little world?" I clenched my fists under the table, fighting the urge to lash out. "About you and Nathaniel," I said, my voice low but steady. "I know about your affair." Her smile faltered for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. "And what do you plan to do about it?" she challenged. "Cry? Scream? Or maybe just write in your little journal?" I felt a wave of frustration. "I'm not here to fight you, Alara. I want you to understand what you've done." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. "You took something precious from me. You made me doubt everything I believed in." Alara leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms as if she were judging my every word. "You think I care? Nathaniel chose me, Eliana. You were just a stepping stone." A sharp pain pierced my chest at her words, but I steeled myself. "You think this is a game? Playing with people's hearts?" I leaned forward, lowering my voice. "You may have him now, but it won't last. I will make sure of it." She chuckled, a cold, mocking sound that sent a shiver down my spine. "You think you can threaten me? You have no power here. Nathaniel loves me." At that moment, I felt a mix of anger and sorrow. I had to remind myself why I was here. "You flaunt your relationship with him, don't you? You want to hurt me, but you don't realize that your actions will bring consequences." I paused, searching for the right words. "I won't let you destroy what I had with Nathaniel." Her eyes narrowed as she leaned in closer. "What did you ever have, Eliana? Love? Trust? You were living in a fantasy. Nathaniel and I? We're real. You're just a shadow." Her words stung, but I couldn't let her see how deeply they affected me. Instead, I straightened my back and spoke with conviction. "I may be a shadow now, but I will rise. You've underestimated me, Alara. I'm not the weak woman you think I am." Alara smirked, but I could see a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. "Oh, this is rich. A woman scorned trying to play the victim. How original." I stood up, feeling a surge of empowerment despite the hurt. "This isn't about playing the victim. It's about taking back my life. You might think you've won, but I will fight for what's mine. You will regret underestimating me." As I walked away, I felt a mix of anger and determination coursing through my veins. I couldn't let her win. I would find a way to expose her, to show Nathaniel the truth. I reached for my journal, ready to pour out my thoughts, my pain, and my plans. That encounter had ignited something inside me, a fire that wouldn't easily be extinguished. I would not remain a shadow in anyone's life. I would become the light that exposed the darkness of betrayal. As I sat on the edge of my bed, the weight of my plan felt heavier than ever. I had started to weave my web of deception, but now, as the days passed, I could feel the tension building around me. I watched Nathaniel closely, noticing how he looked at Alara with a glimmer of something I had not seen in a long time. Interest. It made my heart ache, yet it also fueled my determination. "Are you okay, Eliana?" Nathaniel asked one evening as we shared dinner. He looked up from his plate, concern etched on his face. "You seem a bit distant." I forced a smile, masking the storm that raged inside me. "I'm fine, just a little tired from work." The lie rolled off my tongue with ease, but I felt a pang of guilt. I reminded myself why I was doing this. As I set the table, I thought about the seeds of doubt I had started to plant. I would casually mention Alara, dropping hints here and there, making Nathaniel question her intentions. "You know, I saw Alara at the park yesterday. She looked a little off, like she was hiding something," I said, watching his reaction carefully. His fork paused mid-air. "Really? What do you mean?" I leaned in, lowering my voice as if sharing a secret. "I just got the feeling she's not as innocent as she seems. You should be careful, Nathaniel." He nodded slowly, deep in thought. I could see the wheels turning in his mind, and it made me feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. I was gaining ground. But then, the unexpected happened. One afternoon, Nathaniel and I had a heart-to-heart. We sat in the living room, the air heavy with unspoken words. "Eliana," he began, his voice uncertain, "I've been feeling confused about my feelings for Alara. I don't know what to think anymore." My heart raced. This was the moment I had waited for, but it also terrified me. What if I pushed too hard? "Nathaniel, it's okay to feel confused," I said softly, trying to keep my voice steady. "Relationships can be complicated." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I just don't know if what I feel for her is real, or if it's just a distraction." The doubt I planted was taking root. I felt a mix of triumph and fear. "Maybe you should think about what you truly want," I suggested, my heart pounding in my chest. "What about us? What do you feel when you're with me?" He looked at me, and the silence stretched between us. I held my breath, waiting for his answer. "I feel comfortable with you," he finally said, his gaze dropping to the floor. "But I can't help but wonder about Alara." A part of me wanted to scream, to tell him that he was making a mistake. But I held back, using this moment to my advantage. "You deserve to be with someone who makes you feel happy, Nathaniel. Just take your time to figure it out." As the days went by, I found myself caught in a web of emotions I hadn't anticipated. I was losing myself in this game of revenge, questioning what I truly wanted. Did I want Nathaniel back? Or was this just about hurting him for hurting me? In my diary that night, I wrote down my feelings, pouring my heart onto the pages. I see Nathaniel's confusion as a chance to take control, but why do I feel so hollow inside? Am I seeking revenge? Or am I just scared of losing him forever? I closed the journal, feeling the weight of my thoughts pressing down on me. The final confrontation was looming closer, and I could feel the anticipation and dread swirling within me. I knew I had to prepare myself for what was to come. Would I find the closure I so desperately sought, or would this lead to a path I couldn't return from? As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I whispered to myself, "Whatever happens, I must face it head on." The shadows of doubt loomed large, but I was determined to step into the light, even if it meant confronting the darkness within me. I sat in the coffee shop, my heart racing as I waited for Nathaniel and Alara to arrive. A mix of anger and determination swirled within me. I had planned this moment for so long, and now it was finally happening. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my nerves. It was time to shatter their illusion of happiness. When Nathaniel walked in, he looked just as handsome as ever, the same smile I once adored lighting up his face. But today, that smile only fueled my anger. Alara followed closely behind him, her confidence radiating as she glanced around, oblivious to the storm brewing. "Hey, Eliana," Nathaniel called, spotting me. "You're early." "Just wanted to grab a seat," I replied, my voice steady. Inside, I was a whirlwind of emotions. I knew I had to keep my composure. As they settled down, I observed them, noting the way Alara leaned in a little too close to Nathaniel, her laughter ringing out like music to his ears. I felt a stab of pain in my heart, but I pushed it aside. This was not about me. This was about exposing their lies. "Thanks for coming," I began, my voice cutting through their easy chatter. "I think we need to talk about something important." Nathaniel raised an eyebrow, his expression shifting from casual to concerned. "What's on your mind, Eliana?" I took a moment, letting the silence stretch. Their eyes were on me, curious and slightly apprehensive. "I know about the affair," I said, my voice steady but my heart pounding. The room fell silent. Alara's smile faded, replaced by a look of shock. Nathaniel's face paled as he stammered, What are you talking about? I saw the messages, I continued, my voice growing stronger. I saw you two together. You think I couldn't tell? You both were so careless. I guess you thought I wouldn't find out. Alara opened her mouth, but no words came out. I could see the panic in her eyes, and it fueled my resolve. You've been playing with my life, and I won't stand for it anymore. Eliana, please, Nathaniel started, his voice pleading. It's not what you think. Not what I think? I interrupted, my anger boiling over. You think I'm just going to sit here and let you pretend nothing is wrong? You destroyed our marriage, Nathaniel. You betrayed me with her. Ilara finally found her voice, her tone sharp. You don't know anything about us. You're just jealous. Jealous? I laughed, a bitter sound. I'm not jealous, Ilara. I'm heartbroken. I trusted him, and you took advantage of that trust. Nathaniel looked between us, his expression shifting from confusion to realization. Eliana, I never meant to hurt you. Save it, I cut him off. You've hurt me enough. This isn't just about you two anymore. It's about me taking back my power. The confrontation escalated, emotions flying high. I could feel my pain and anger spilling out, but somewhere amid the chaos, clarity washed over me. I was no longer just a victim. I was a woman reclaiming her strength. In that moment, as Nathaniel looked at me with regret, I realized that revenge would not bring me peace. I did not want to become someone consumed by hatred. You know what? I said, my voice steadying. I'm done feeling this way. I don't need revenge to feel whole again. Nathaniel and Alara stared at me, confusion etched on their faces. I continued, I deserve better than this. I deserve to heal, to move on. I will not let this define me. With that, I stood up, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. This is my last goodbye, I said firmly. I hope you both find what you're looking for, but I won't be part of this anymore. As I walked away, I felt liberated, my heart lighter. I had confronted my demons, and in doing so, I had found a new path, one that led to healing and self-empowerment. I was ready to embrace my newfound strength and leave the shadows of revenge behind. As I stepped out of the shadows of my past, a sense of freedom washed over me. It felt strange, yet exhilarating. For so long, I had been wrapped in a cloak of anger and betrayal, but now I was ready to embrace a new chapter of my life. I took a deep breath, savoring the crisp air that filled my lungs as I began my journey towards self-discovery. The first step was to focus on myself. I picked up my journal again, but this time, instead of writing about revenge, I wrote about things that made me happy. What are my dreams? I wrote. What do I truly want? I could feel a shift within me as I jotted down the things I once loved, painting, hiking, and even dancing. It was as if I was peeling back the layers of a person I had forgotten I could be. I decided to reach out to friends who had always been there for me, even when I couldn't see them through the fog of my heartbreak. I sent a message to Sarah, my best friend since childhood. Hey, how about a coffee date? I could use some company. I hit send, my heart racing with anticipation. In no time, my phone buzzed with her reply. Absolutely. When and where? How about tomorrow at that little cafe on Maple Street, 10 a.m.? Sounds perfect. Can't wait to see you. The next day, as I walked into the cafe, the familiar aroma of coffee beans and baked goods wrapped around me like a warm hug. I spotted Sarah at a corner table, her bright smile instantly lifting my spirits. Eliana, she exclaimed, standing up to give me a tight hug. You look different, in a good way. Thanks, Sarah. I feel different, I replied, taking a seat. I've been doing some thinking. We talked for hours, sharing laughter and stories. I told her about my plans to reconnect with my passions, and she expressed her excitement. You should join me for yoga classes. It's so refreshing and really helps clear the mind. I might take you up on that, I said, feeling a spark of hope ignite within me. As the days passed, I began to rebuild my life, brick by brick. I signed up for an art class, something I had always wanted to do. The first day was nerve-wracking, but as I dipped my brush into vibrant colors, a feeling of joy filled me. Each stroke of paint was a step further away from the pain of the past. "Wow, Eliana, that's beautiful," my instructor, Mrs. Thompson, said one afternoon as she admired my work. "You have a real talent." "Thank you. I feel like I'm finally finding myself again," I replied, beaming with pride. But it wasn't just about painting. I also sought healing for my emotional wounds. I made an appointment with a therapist, someone who could help me navigate through the tangled feelings I still carried. On the day of my session, I felt a mix of nerves and anticipation. "Welcome, Eliana. I'm glad you're here," my therapist, Dr. Lewis, said as I entered her cozy office. "Thank you. I'm not really sure where to start," I admitted, fidgeting with my hands. "Let's start with how you're feeling. What brings you here today?" she asked gently. I took a deep breath, willing myself to be honest. "I've been hurt and angry. I thought I needed revenge, but now I want to let go of that pain." Dr. Lewis nodded thoughtfully. "That's a brave realization. Letting go is a process, but it's also a path to freedom. What do you think forgiveness means to you?" I paused, reflecting on her words. "I guess it means no longer letting the past control me. It means choosing to move forward." "Exactly," she encouraged. "Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about freeing yourself." As our session continued, I felt the weight of my burdens lift, piece by piece. By the end, I realized that my journey was not just about escaping the shadows of revenge, but about embracing a life filled with self-love and resilience. Leaving her office, I looked up at the sky, feeling lighter. I whispered to myself, "I am ready for the future." With each step forward, I felt empowered, ready to shape my life into something beautiful. The shadows of revenge were fading, and I was stepping into the light of my new beginning. Share this story if you believe that healing and self-discovery can triumph over past pain. Leave a comment about a moment when you chose to embrace positivity, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring tales like this one.